Hey! It's a good... Which episode is that? The Crimson Horror? Oh, what's under there? Is it the cat suit? Oh, she's got the cat suit. Amazing! Hey, you look great! I always wanted to keep the cat suit. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start this with the question I always ask when I'm lucky enough to do these interviews, which is, what's your earliest memory of Doctor Who, or alternatively, what did you know about the show before coming on it?
Okay, well, I've got to be honest, I didn't know much at all. I'd obviously heard of it. I grew up in Cardiff, so I think I was very much more aware of it then when it moved to Cardiff. Well, when it first started filming in Cardiff, which was, what was that, 2000?
2004, I think.
Yeah, when it first came back, yeah. And I think I remember seeing some of it being filmed, because I lived in Cardiff till I left to go to London after drama school. So, yeah, I didn't grow up watching it. I think I was at the wrong age when it came back. I was more interested in boys and partying and alcohol, I'm afraid. Well, no, that was a bit young, but yeah. I wasn't necessarily in on a Saturday night when it was on. But I definitely remember there being a lot of excitement about it, especially being filmed in Cardiff and Billie Piper being in it, who I absolutely loved when I was younger. She was a pop singer. But yeah, in terms of having watched it, I think I watched a few, maybe the Christmas specials, because that's sort of a big deal in Britain on Christmas Day. You sort of all sit down and watch something. And then when I got the audition for it, I watched some of what I could on BBC iPlayer. Yeah, so I'm afraid I'm not like a long-term fan, you know, like you all are. I don't know that much about the history of it.
Well, that's quite all right.
So I don't know if that's going to shorten our interview.
Not So what,
you could tell me everything you know. Yeah, he knows a lot already. I've already gathered that he knows a lot. About the Space Centre. So I'm sure you know even more about Doctor Who.
well, people aren't paying good money to see me, though. They're paying good money to see you.
Okay, that's true.
So, you were having established that, you know, you weren't really a huge fan of it. Were you excited? Well, I guess it's natural you'd be excited for an audition anyway. Mm-hmm. But were you excited knowing that this was a big popular series when, I guess, you were offered the chance to audition?
I don't think I knew how popular it was at all. I mean, I definitely didn't know things like this existed. I didn't know America loved Doctor Who. I didn't know Australia loved Doctor Who. I didn't know anywhere other than Britain. You know, I knew it was like a historical, what's the word? You know, it was from the 60s. It was a classic series, and my mum and dad remember it from being when they were younger. But I also knew it was a very British. Sorry, my vocabulary is awful today.
It's a very sort of iconic
series. There we are. So yeah, I was really excited when I got asked to audition for it, especially the fact it was on BBC and it was, you know, the genre was something I'd never done before, sci-fi. Yeah, and I got asked to audition for it. I think at the time I was working as a waitress or something in a cocktail bar. No. No, I was working as a waitress and I was really skint, needed money, and I was unemployed. And it was one of my first jobs out of drama school, and the casting director had seen me in my show in my third year in drama school, and asked me to come in and audition. And there was just one scene. I just auditioned for the first scene that you see us in The Good Man Goes to War. I think there's a... God, what are the lines? There's a problem in the drawing room, Mom?
Something like
that. And, you know, I did it, and I did it with a London... I thought, well, I'll make it a bit Cockney, Victorian made. And that was it, and I got it, and I was really pleased, and at the time it was only ever going to be one episode, so...
Right, that was my next question,
yeah.
actually. So you had no idea that you were going to become a reoccurring...
I had no idea I'd be here how many years later? Well, I first filmed it 7 years later, still talking about it. Yeah, no idea. We just did one episode. I mean, I watched it again recently in another convention, and I realised we're not in it that much, A Good Man Goes to War. It's a very ensemble piece, but it's very much about River Song and, and Rory and, sorry, Amy. But when we filmed it, I was just like quite nervous because it was a big job and I'd never really done much telly before. And suddenly I was on set with, you know, Matt and Karen and Arthur and Alex Kingston and in this huge airport hangar in Cardiff. So it was, yeah, I was quite daunted. But luckily I already knew Neve. We had done a play together the year before. She played my stepmother. Yeah. In a play in Manchester called The Lady from the Sea by Ibsen. So I felt a bit more at ease knowing Neve was there with me. Yeah, so we just did that episode and then I can't really remember then what happened for the next episode, which was
Snowman.
The Christmas. Yeah, and I think we filmed the Christmas and a Crimson Horror at the same time. I think it was Crimson Horror. And they just gave us like 2 or 3 weeks notice. Are you free? Yeah. Luckily we're all free. But they'd already written it without checking. as Stephen Moffat does. So yeah, we came back and then came back again and yeah, it was very, very lucky. And a lot of it is down to the fans, I think, and their reaction to the Paternoster again. I think there was a huge reaction after the first episode, A Good Man Goes to War. I think people really liked. There wasn't that much of a gang set up there then, the three of us. It was more me and Neve and then Dan, but somehow we became this odd little trio.
And you kind of lucked out in a way, because of course Neve's got all that Silurian makeup, which she told us last year takes 4 hours to put on.
Yeah.
Dan gets stuck in a potato head, and you lucked out.
Yeah, I did. I had like 10 minutes in makeup. I wasn't allowed any makeup, actually, which I didn't like. But yeah, I used to complain about my corset, and then realised Dan and Neve would just be sat there with their faces on. Just look, well, I couldn't really see what they were doing underneath, but underneath they were probably rolling their eyes. Well, you can see their eyes, but yeah. I realised, yeah, I had nothing to play about, and then they had to come in at 4:30 in the morning, and yeah, I just rocked up at 7. So yeah, I was lucky, and I had, yeah, it was really fun, and great costumes, and yeah, hairstyle was very simple, yeah.
So one of the other highlights, of course, from both The Snowman and you appearing in The Name of the Doctors, you got to work with Richard E. Grant.
Oh yeah, Richard.
So I want to ask you about working with him.
Yeah, he was really, really lovely. Obviously, he's again quite iconic in Britain from With Nail and I, so I knew who he was from that and other films. But yeah, he was just a really nice guy, very funny, very warm and generous, and he kept in touch with it after, I think. I think he came to see me in a play. But yeah, he was great. He's very good at playing those sort of characters, like evil. But he's not like that at all. I think he's now got his own perfume range or something, I read. Yeah, so he was in The Snowman and then he came back, didn't he, for The Name of the...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite... it wasn't very nice working when he's... Not working with him, I loved working with him, but his character wasn't a nice character,
right.
So Jenny definitely didn't like him.
And having worked with Matt on 3 episodes, I think. 4?
Yeah.
4? I can't count, it's too early.
I don't know. I can't remember how many episodes I've done. 5?
You stumped him.
5.
Good Man Goes to War, Crimson Horror, Snowman, Name of the Doctor, and Deep Breath.
Right, and Deep Breath's the one I want to ask you about.
And then we did some internet thing.
Right, you did a couple of webisodes. I know there's the, you know, Demons Run 2 Days Later, Vastra Investigates.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's the Snowman Prelude. I am nerd hearing more. You did the one, I know there's the Deep Breath one that was recorded for cinemas as well, or at least was shown in cinemas here in the US.
Yeah, yes, we went to that.
Anyways, long way of segueing into the question I was trying to get to, which is having worked with Matt on 4 episodes, you then got to work with Peter Capaldi on his debut episode.
Yeah. Which is deep breath.
Yes.
Yeah.
So was it a big sort of transition? I know Stephen Moffat is still sitting there writing the script, obviously. Was it a big sort of transition to go from Matt, who's a doctor who's well established, to Peter, who presumably is still trying to find his feet at that point?
It was just amazing, actually, to be there on his first day. He's obviously such a brilliant, experienced actor, and it was obviously his dream to be a doctor. I don't know if you read, but he'd written to the Radio Times when he was younger. And there was loads, he was just in his element being on set that day. But I feel really lucky that I was there to see it, because it's quite, a momentous moment. Being there for his first ever scene, where he comes out the TARDIS on the riverbank of the Thames, well, a set, which was about this long, probably. But they made it look incredible and real on camera. He only came out and you would never have known it was his first day. He was just so energetic and playful and confident, and he was just trying out loads of different new things, and you could see he was just in the right place. And I didn't really have to act, because I just watched him and reacted to what he was doing. And it was such a lovely guy. Even though it was his first episode, he still spent the time to talk to us and knew who we were, and so I feel really lucky that I got to work with both of them. They're both fantastic actors and doctors, I think.
Now, I'm a big fan of the Big Finish audios. For those who don't know, Big Finish is a company in the UK. They've been doing licensed audios based on Doctor Who and Torchwood for the better part of 2 decades now. You've done a couple of Big Finishes, I believe.
I have. But I can't remember what they're called. I know I did one with Tracy.
Tracy Ann Oberman. It was a Torchwood one called One Rule.
I think I had a small part in that.
You did.
And then I did another one with Dan Starkey, but I can't remember what that was called. I think I was playing a Welsh woman called Mavanwi or something.
I think so.
Yeah. Would love to do more with them. Yeah. They do, I'm sure everyone's heard, but they do a great lunch.
They are legendary for their lunches.
Yeah. And I love doing radio. I do quite a lot of radio plays.
Right.
I'm keen to do more. Yeah, definitely. And a great way to work with other actors who are in that Doctor Who world. And I think, who was that when I was doing it? There was someone from the older series, and a woman who'd been in the older series. Can't remember her name.
Lisa Bowerman?
Yeah.
Because you were in...
It was a Bernice Summerfield.
It was a Bernie Summerfield box set with David Warner playing a version of the Doctor,
yeah, that's
if I remember right.
Yeah. There we are.
I am nerd, hear me more. So one of the things I do try to do as well, because obviously we know and love you from Doctor Who, but also talk about your sort of career at large. You've done a lot of stage work, and last year, of course, we had Gareth David Lloyd here. And one of the things Gareth talked about was you had, in fact, just fairly recently at that point, done a play with him, Tennessee Williams' Cat on the Hot Tin Roof.
Yes, Mom. Yes, I had.
So what was it like working with Gareth?
Yeah, it was great. I didn't know him at all before. I knew that he was in the Torchwood world. So then when I saw he'd been cast, I thought, I hope they're not just doing this because we're both like Doctor Who, Torchwood people. But I think he was because we were Welsh, and we both knew the casting director, and he got us in, and it was just a coincidence that we were both from the Doctor Who world. But yeah, he's such a lovely guy, as I'm sure you met last year, and we both work in quite similar ways. We're very up for trying new things and playful as actors, and we like to really get to the heart of the scenes and work out what's really going on. So it was actually an amazing play, an amazing part to play. But I was very lucky to have someone like Gareth who was just very responsive and up for things. Because Maggie's character is so vivacious and energetic that you sort of need another actor to bounce off to make that relationship work. And I think it did work well.
Right.
Yeah, and it was such a, I'm sure you know the play, do you? Set in Mississippi, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've read it because it's required reading for most students here in high school here in the US.
Right.
So it was probably better to see you do it than sitting in a high school classroom with a bunch of students who reading it.
Yeah, it's always best to see it out loud than it's the same with Shakespeare, I think.
Right, which is the next thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know you did a production of Romeo and Juliet around the same time you were starting to appear in Doctor Who.
Yes, I think so.
So
That was a long time ago.
Yes. Well, as somebody who's done Shakespeare here locally on sort of a community theater level, I always want to talk to people about their Shakespeare work and sort of ask, what keeps drawing actors to Shakespeare? And is there any sort of great Shakespearean role that you haven't played yet that you would like to play?
Yeah, I guess for actors it's the scope of the roles, the range of emotions that the character goes through and that Shakespeare explores in his plays. For someone like Juliet, she goes through so much in quite a short amount of time, and for an actor, you sort of go on that journey with that character. But that these are real human emotions that still are relevant today, even though the language isn't as modern as we speak now. It really comes down to her being in love with someone who she can't be with, and family feuds, and I just loved playing her because she was such a strong, independent woman, even though she was young and from this world of sort of, how do you describe it? Privilege, I guess, her family. But yeah, I think the language for actors is something that if you can get your head around it, and understand it, is really satisfying once you find the rhythm and once you've learnt it. And yeah, I think just the huge scale of emotions and humour and yeah, wit and yeah, intelligence in his writing is an amazing thing to get to grips with as an actor. And I've also done some plays at the Royal Shakespeare Company, which weren't Shakespeare. They were John Ford and Christopher Marlowe, and I found them all challenging in their own way, but there's something quite nice when you unlock something in the language that helps you as a character or an actress.
All right, let's hand over to the audience now. You may notice there's microphones at each end of the rows here, so feel free to come up to the mic and go ahead and ask questions.
I got it. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
All right. Well, my first question is, I know you did some martial arts on the Doctor Who show, so how long have you been doing that for a while?
Never. I just had a great stunt director who helped me look very good, and had stunt men working with me, so they did all the work. They knew what to do, so it looked like I actually was lifting them up, but I wasn't. And I just, yeah, I had to practice it, but I did some sword fighting in drama school, so I knew the basics, and then I think Good Man Goes to War, we did some sword fighting. But also the way it's filmed, it's not like doing it on stage. You can sort of get away with more on camera because they'll film it from a certain angle, or they'll edit it to make it look like you're amazing. But it was very fun. Yeah, I never got to do it since, so hopefully.
It occurs to me, I mean, Jenny is very much a character in sort of the Emma Peel sort of variety. That's Emma Peel from The Avengers, the great 60s iconic series. You got to work with Emma Peel herself, Diana Rigg,
Yeah.
in The Crimson Horror.
I did.
What was that like?
Well, I didn't get to do really any scenes with her. I think we were only in the last scene together with Mr. Sweet. Sure. But obviously I knew of her, and I haven't actually seen The Avengers. But I knew that it was a homage to her, and my uncle was a big fan of her. So, and to be on set with Rachel, her daughter, and Diana, yeah, she's a legend really. I sat next to her in the makeup chair and hear her stories. But yeah, I remember on my first day with her was watching her in the church when she's doing a big sermon. You okay? And just, yeah, her voice and her presence was enough, you know, just like, yeah, very inspiring.
All right, any more questions? Come up to the microphone. Oh, we have somebody coming right here.
Okay, so out of all of your roles that you played, Doctor Who, Shakespeare, radio, is there any role that you liked better because you were able to have more fun with it? It was just overall just a great experience.
Ooh, I'd say all my jobs I've loved for different reasons, and been very lucky to play different types of characters and not be sort of typecast. I'd say for me the most rewarding as an actress was probably when I'm doing theatre. Just because I love the rehearsal process and finding that character and finding, you know, you have 4 weeks to rehearse and then once it's on stage you're discovering new things every night. So that's quite tricky. I mean, for me a big moment was playing Juliet because I was so young and I worked with the most incredible director who I learned so much from and have taken a lot of that with me for other jobs. But yeah, but also Cat on a Hot Tin Roof because that's the role. Usually it's about the role and the sort of, yeah, I guess I always try and relate with the characters I play, even if they're very far removed from me. I can always try and find something in them that I can relate to and that stays with me. Yeah, don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Oh, right over here.
All right. Matthew asked already about the fact that you didn't have to have the prosthetics.
Yes.
Was that glad that you didn't?
Yes,
or were you sad
definitely.
you didn't? I mean,
No.
Okay.
I'm very glad. I mean, I'd be up for trying prosthetics, but I just wouldn't want to be sat there for 3 hours. I love the idea of creating a character that is completely different to me and looks completely different and physically. But yeah, I didn't envy them, and they would have like rashes and dry skin, and especially if it was hot outside, they'd be sweating underneath, and they couldn't eat, or they couldn't drink without a straw, and yeah, you know, you've got enough to think about when you're acting, let alone all that other stuff. But I think they both did a fantastic job. I sort of forgot that they were real people under them. I just got very used to seeing them like that every day for 3 weeks.
All right, question right here.
Hello. I have been fascinated with the relationship between Jenny Flint and Lady Vashta. I'm saying that right. It took me a while to realize that there was something more there in the relationship than just a maid and her employer. Was the role written from the very beginning to be more than that, or was that something that...
I think so. There was a few hints in A Good Man Goes to War, which took me a while to get, I've got to say. Because, you know, you don't expect... I don't know, not that I didn't expect it, but with someone like Doctor Who, I think we were the first lesbian couple in Doctor Who? I'm not sure, but, you know, I wasn't expecting, so I wasn't looking for that. And then I was reading it before the read-through and just thought, oh, that's an interesting thing. That she says something about her being a boy, or there's a line where Madame Vashta looks at someone and Jenny gets a bit jealous because it's another girl, and there's some line about a tongue. I think that was sort of Stephen Moffat sort of hinting at that there was something else there, but I don't think I would have necessarily picked up on it watching it.
Was that really scandalous, or what was the kickback from all of that?
Well, it wasn't until which was the one where there was the sort of mouth-to-mouth kiss.
That was Deep Breath.
Deep Breath,
And they
yeah.
ended up cutting that out of a lot of foreign cells, particularly in the Middle East.
Yeah, I heard they sort of banned it from certain countries. And in Britain, I was on the tube one day, and there was in the Evening Standard paper, it was like a picture of me. I was like, oh my god. And it was because it had like 5 complaints or something, which is great because, you know, any press is good press for
It's better to be infamous than not famous at all.
Exactly, and I mean, who are those 5 people? They need to get a life. So yeah, I haven't heard anything negative. It's been incredible, the reaction to the relationship and how it's affected people or helped people or it's very positive, I think. I hope.
All right, question over here.
Hi.
Hello.
I want to know how up you are for a spinoff with Uni and Dan. I know it would be easier for you because you don't have to do all the prosthetics. I don't know if that would be a complaint for them, but that would be really fun to see.
Yeah, well that is the question I get asked. We all get asked the most. And I definitely would be up for it. We have no way of making it happen other than someone writing it. And I think it would make a great spin-off. Yeah.
I think Big Finish is the best place to go with that.
Yeah.
Because I think part of the problem with doing it is, and we talked about this with Neve last year, is that it's period and there's a lot of makeup between Neve and Dan, which makes it an expensive proposition. But of course, in audio, you don't have to worry about makeup and you don't have to worry about sets. And you've all 3 worked for Big Finish now, so
yeah, they
hurry
need
up,
to get
Big
it up.
Finish.
Yeah, well, people need to tell them. Give us some work.
Contact at bigfinish.com. Yes, sir.
So you talked about finding something relatable within the characters you perform. I mean, Jenny, it's a complicated thing. I mean, it's, period. Like you said, you have the relationship aspect, and you add in the fact that it's television, so it's a different shooting style. Well, it's a different, performance style. The fact that there's CGI involved, and you kind of have to act to things that aren't there. I mean, what's your process for getting into that character and actually just saying, hey, I'm going to put this out there and hope this works?
Yeah, basically that. Yeah, I think it was different with Jenny and also with Doctor Who because it's obviously there are real elements to it and those relationships are real and you just have to play them. I have to play that Madame Vastra is Eliza Castellari and I'm in love with her. That's just how it is. And as an actress, not question that or judge that. But in terms of Doctor Who, in terms of the timeline, and every time I kept coming back, I was like, well, I can't try and figure out what's happened before this, because it's Doctor Who, and all I know is I'm still with Madame Vastra. We're now in Yorkshire. I don't really know what we've been doing since then, or have I seen the Doctor, but just to try and I think with Doctor Who, be in the moment and just... I feel like the script does a lot for me as the character, and every time I'd come back, there'd be more in the script for Jenny, or more. You'd find out more about her character, especially with something like Crimson Horror. So I was able to sort of go with it, and I think the costumes help, and that there's those strong relationships there, like her relationship with Madame Vastra and the relationship she has with Strax, and. I didn't necessarily have to do as much sort of background or preparation, if that makes sense. I just try and learn the lines and really be in the moment.
So what do you actually relate to with that character?
That's a good question. I think her inquisitiveness, she's quite cheeky. I think it's good. She's not afraid to sort of ask questions and stand up for what she believes in. Loyalty. It's kind of like a bit more of her fearlessness. She's pretty brave, but also quite vulnerable at times. Yeah, so I think obviously you can only ever create a character from yourself. So if someone else played that part, it would obviously be totally different. So that I can only use myself. So there's obviously a lot of me in her, even though she's otherworldly compared to me. If that makes sense.
Question over here.
How did it feel meeting and working with Matt Smith?
It was brilliant. I loved working with him. I got on really well with him. He, as I'm sure you've probably heard, he's a very, very nice guy, and completely is the leading man. He makes everybody feel welcome on set, and although he's got so much to think about and he's in every day for 9 months, he still has the time to completely give it all when he's acting with you. The Crimson Horror had a lot to do with him and completely loved working with him because it was so alive and energetic. So I'm really so pleased he's doing so well. Yeah, I think he's an amazing actor.
Over here.
So spinning off of something that Matthew said, if you guys were able to do Big Finish and do those 3